Hello, co-artisans. My name is Shonda, and welcome to my channel, Under the Needle. So today I'm here with a product review. I have the brand new rotary cutter from Missouri Star. So I want to show you guys this rotary cutter and give you my thoughts. So first, let's show you a little bit about the rotary cutter itself. It's cute. I think the colors are pretty. It's kind of got this really light aqua. It's actually showing a little darker on camera than it is in real life. Let's see if I can get it to be a bit more. That's a bit more the color, I think. Yeah, so it's not. It looks like it's marginally brighter on screen than it is in real life. It's a very pale aqua, and then this is gray, and there are grips here, and it's plastic, but I won't say it's silicone because it's not, but the grips feel like this is not squishy or anything like that. It's not soft, but the grips do feel really, really nice and do provide really good hold. There's a button here, and this is how you raise and lower your blade. Now, you do have to push it in, so you have to push it in and slide it back and slide it forth. So it does keep you from accidentally kind of pushing it. And if you were to throw this in a bag, you wouldn't have to worry about accidentally having the blade come up. Right? So the way you change the blade, it's like the old school Olfa. You have to take this, unscrew this off the back. But unlike the old school Olfa, they give you a nice chunky dial here to turn, so it feels good and it's easy to do, as opposed to the Olfa one where it's just kind of like this little tiny screw on the back. Let's see. I know I've got one here. Of course, I don't have any of my. Oh, here we go. So the Olfa will have like it just has this screw that you have to turn, and then this here, so you kind of have to like hold this small thin area and then twist this small thin area in order to secure your blade. This is much easier because it's a nice chunky piece in the front you can hold on to and put your fingers in, and then there's a nice chunky dial in the back that you can hold and put your, really get a good grip on to take the blade off. And it doesn't have that washer that the Olfa blade has that you have to worry about losing. So when you do the Olfa blade, it has this little washer that has to go back on. So it's, to me, even though it's not a quick change blade, it's much easier. And although, even though this isn't a quick change blade, it is much easier to change the blade or, remove it, add a blade, as opposed to the Olfa. So I do appreciate that. So I do like that. Although I do like the whole quick change aspect. I don't mind having to twist if it means that, as long as like I have something to hold on to, whereas with the Olfa I didn't. Now another thing about this is that there are ball bearings in here. Which means it has a little bit more weight than your standard Olfa cutter. It has more weight, and it's also thicker. It's thicker, so it's a little bit easier to grip onto, and again, it has more grips on both sides. So, the Olfa just has these blades, these grips at the top. This has nice grips, not only at the top, but also at the bottom. So it does feel really good in the hand. And the ball bearings, so what they say is that the ball bearings are supposed to help it cut more smoothly and easier, and therefore decrease hand fatigue and make it so you can use less pressure, thereby also decreasing hand fatigue. So it helps with hand fatigue for two reasons. One, because it's thicker, and two, because the ball bearings inside allow you to use less pressure when cutting. So this retails for $19.95. I had a 15% off coupon, so I got it for $16.95. And so I did use it a little bit, and so I'm going to go and show you guys what that looks like. It just comes in this little case here. It's called the Olga rotary cutter. So super, super cute. So I'm going to show you guys that, and give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm at my rotary table, my rotary cutting mat and table and stuff like that. I'm just going to show you guys how these things cut. So basically going to be comparing these two rotary cutters. I did put, to keep all things equal, I put a fresh Missouri Star blade in this rotary cutter. And the only reason there's lint on it is because I was testing it out today against this rotary cutter here. So this is 8 layers of fabric. This is 8 layers. And this is a 108. So the fabric is a little thicker. There's a little fruit fly that keeps flying around. The fabric is a little thicker than your standard quilting fabric, and there's 8 layers here. So I'm just going to cut first with the Olfa. Okay, so again, clean, fresh rotary blade. It cut very cleanly, very nice, very easy. Like, we know how these rotary cutters work. Missouri Star has good blades. This cuts great. When I use this one, okay, so I'm still learning here about how much pressure I need. So I'm just going to go with my normal rotary cutter pressure. It says you can use less pressure, but I don't know how much less yet because I haven't been using it yet. But I do notice that I can use less pressure when using this. I just haven't learned quite how much less yet. But it does cut smoothly. It does feel great in the hand. And yeah, it does cut easier. So just cutting this and seeing how much pressure that takes, and then using this rotary cutter blade and seeing it does definitely take less pressure. So I do see how over a longer project, this would help with hand fatigue quite a bit. So I'm going to go back to my regular camera and sum up. Oops, I accidentally unpaused before I was ready, but that's okay. So I personally don't have a whole lot of wrist fatigue when I'm cutting out a project. I mean, so I might have a tiny bit toward the end if there's a lot of cutting, but in general, I don't have a whole lot of wrist fatigue, which is why, or hand fatigue, which is one of the reasons why I never invested in the Martelli one, because there's a Martelli rotary cutter that people swear by. They say that it's great if you have hand fatigue or wrist fatigue, but it was kind of expensive for, like, it's way more expensive than your standard rotary cutter. Like, you can get your standard Olfa for like 14 bucks, and that costs significantly more than that. I don't remember the exact amount, but also it works differently, right? It has a different way of cutting, and to me, for somebody that wasn't having a lot of hand fatigue or wrist fatigue or pain, it didn't make sense to me to deal with that learning curve, to learn how to use a completely different style rotary cutter. But I definitely see this maybe becoming my new favorite, unless I'm using my 60 millimeter, of course, because generally I'll start out with my 60 millimeter because that larger blade allows you to cut through more layers with less pressure. Like, that's literally the point of this. And it's bigger, it's thicker handle, and so it just allows you, I automatically it's just easier with this, and I get less fatigue with this. But I could definitely see this kind of giving the same result. I do think it's a really good rotary cutter. I honestly do. I'm glad I bought it. I like the weight of it. It's even, to me, it's even heavier than this. It's got a little bit more weight to it than this even, which I think also helps you be able to use less pressure because there's just more pressure in the blade itself. And again, those ball bearings. I don't know exactly how it works. I don't know the mechanics of it, but it's definitely smoother and just a little easier to cut. Now, I don't know, like, if you're cutting small mounts, like I said, I cut 8 layers because I wanted to test it on, you know, the thickest, hardest to cut fabric, and it did great. It did great, and I also used it on some smaller cuts. I was squaring up some half square triangles and I used this, and it's really like butter. So yeah, when I was cutting 8 layers, and I had to put some pressure because it's 8 layers, and it's 8 layers of a thicker weight 108 fabric, and I did have to put a little bit of pressure. But when just cutting, squaring up a half square triangle, like there's just, you don't have to really put any pressure at all. Just the weight of the blade and the weight of the um, rotary cutter itself, it's just like butter. It's just like butter. It cuts so easy, and it was just so easy to trim those up. So if you're in the market for a new rotary cutter, I do like this one. I do recommend it. I do give it high marks. To me, it is as good as, if not better than, your standard Alpha rotary cutter at, you know, not too much more. So um, I think Missouri Star shipping is like $5 or $6. Um, so if you were getting the rotary cutter by itself, you'd have to, of course, account for that shipping cost. But if you already had an existing order and you wanted to tack this on, I highly recommend it. I really do. I think it's a pretty solid rotary cutter, and it's pretty. It's pretty. It's, like I said, it's got the aqua and the gray. It's looking pretty true to color right now. Just holding it up like this. This is the exact color. This is what it looks like. So I really like this. I really do. I don't know how long this Missouri Star branding is going to stay on here, and I really don't care. Um, I really don't care at all. But it does feel to be like, you can feel it a tiny bit. Like if you run your finger across the letters, you can tell it's raised a little bit. So it's kind of printed on there. So it could potentially wear off in time, but I don't see how that would matter, and it certainly wouldn't matter to me. So those are just my thoughts and opinions on the new Missouri Star rotary cutter with ball bearings. So that is it for me, and I'll see you guys next video.